Thank you for watching my video. My name is Mr. Charles Monikin. In this video tutorial, we are going to discuss active components. Before we proceed, I would like to say, if you like my video, please subscribe to my channel, comment, and like. Thank you once again. So in this video tutorial, before we kick off, we will start from electronic components. We will also discuss types of active components, how active components work, examples, the features, and so on and so forth. In this video, let's start from electronic components. If I may ask a question, what is electronic component? And it goes in this way. Electronic components are the elements of circuit which helps in its functioning. Do you know that in electronic devices, without the element of the circuit which helps in functioning, there will be no device, there will be no handset, there will be no laptop, there will be no television or any kind of electronic device. There will be no router, there will be no switch. So it is this electronic components that are made up of those devices that we are using today. And that is what we are going to discuss. Therefore, electronic components are the element of circuit which helps in its functioning. Without those elements, there will be no electronic device. So that is why I have to define the two types of electronic components. They can be classified into two, which means electronic component can be classified into two. That is active component and passive component. Although we have discussed passive component in my previous videos, and if you have not seen it, go to Charles Electronics tutorial, watch it, you will see passive component tutorial in my YouTube channel being Charles Electronics. So in this video, we will basically discuss on active component. So what I'm trying to explain here is this. In electronic component, it is classified into two, active and passive component. Electronic components, both active and passive, are lifeline of any printed circuit assembly. Electronic components, both active and passive, are lifeline of any printed circuit assembly. What am I saying here? What I'm trying to explain here is this. Both active and passive are, without them, there will be no electronic device. There will be no device for us to use. There will be nothing like handsets, television, Android, whatsoever thing at all, nothing like that. So these two components is the most functionable. They are the thing that make up of our devices that we are using today. That is why without this active and passive, there will be no devices for us to use. So in that case, I say they are lifeline of any printed circuit board. A circuit board, it could be a motherboard of handset, a motherboard of television, laptop, and so on and so forth. So without them, there will be no device for us to use. They both play vital roles in the functioning of any electronic device. Both the active and passive component both play an important role in the functioning of any electronic device. Electronic components are intended to be connected together. Yes, electronic components intend to be connected together, usually usually by soldering to a printed circuit board, abbreviation called PCB, printed circuit board, to create an electronic circuit with a particular function. That is very, very nice. Now, in this case, what I am trying to explain here is this. Electronic components are intended to be connected together, usually by soldering to a printed circuit board, PCB. A printed circuit board is where those components will be soldered. It will be soldered with lead and soldering iron. When I will discuss the practical aspect of this tutorial, I will show you those things and you will see it and you will know how to solder and desolder, identify the good and bad component. I will discuss that. I will teach you each and every one of them. I will show you those things, all these things that I am saying here. I will be bringing it one after the other to show you. So in this case now, to a printed circuit board, which is PCB, to create an electronic component, to create an electronic circuit with a particular function. For instance, when the active and the passive comes together in terms of soldering both sides, they will create electronic circuit with a particular function, and that function, it could be a laptop power pack, it could be a desktop power pack, it could be a handset, it could be a desktop, it could be a laptop, it could be a television. Those are the particular function of that of the circuit, all depending on the manufacturer. It depends on the manufacturer. When the active and the passive component comes together, they will what? Form a circuit with a particular function. A particular function which I have said before, it could be anything, for instance, CD, television, home theater, so many of them, handset, and so on and so forth. If I may ask, what is an active component? An active component are those devices or components which produce energy in the form of voltage or current, are called or known as active component. What do you understand here? Is a simple explanation. Active components are those components which produce energy in the form of voltage or current. In my previous video about passive, I said a passive component are those components which stored energy in form of voltage or current, while in active, they produce energy in form of voltage or current, and they are called active components. Now, active electronic components are those that can also control the flow of electricity. Active component controls the flow of electricity. Most electronic printed circuit board have at least one active component. Do you know that each of our various motherboard, handset motherboard, laptop motherboard, television motherboard, each motherboard at least they must contain at least one active component. Without an active component in each of the motherboard, it means that that motherboard will not function very well, all depending on the configuration. But if the component, if the if the structure or the diagram involve active component, and without that active component, that motherboard or the diagram will not work effectively. Therefore, each of this laptop, desktop, handset, any kind of electronics, you must see an active component, at least one of them. And remember, an active electronic component are those that can control flow of electricity. Let's say types of active component. What are the types? There are two types of active component. One is electron tubes, and the second one is semiconductors or solid state device. Electron tube is different from semiconductor. I will also discuss this semiconductor briefly if possible in this series of videos, because this series of video we will have series of video in this active component. So in that case, these are the two types of active component which I said: electron tubes and semiconductor or solid state device. Now, what are the examples of active component? Look at the examples of active component. Examples of active components are: a typical active component will be an oscillator, transistor, or integrated circuit being IC, battery, or diodes. Battery, diodes. Battery, I know some persons will be thinking, why did he say battery is part of active component? Don't worry, I will discuss on this battery. I will tell you the reason why battery is part of active component. And in this case, diode as well is part of active component as well as part of passive component, all depending on the function of diode. You know, at times before diode triggers, it will reach to a certain point where if the current has entered, you know, diode is a one-way valve. It current pass through one side and go straight to the circuit. And in that case, a diode, it has we have silicon and germanium. In terms of semiconductor production of diode, we have silicon and germanium, and each of them they have a specific voltage aspect that once a current enters into it, the current must reach at a point where it will trigger the diode, and the diode will started conducting or will started working. So in that process, it is called an active component. Though when I will treat or discuss about diodes, I will explain it much more about that. Then you will see the difference when diode in active and diode in passive. This is the picture of active component, the brief one. The one that has three legs, three long legs, are pictures of transistors. While the one that has many legs, it is called an IC, integrated circuit. All these ones are the pictures of active device. This is just the picture as well as the example. In case if you have not seen it, you can also use this picture to see the difference active and the picture of active component, the transistor and the IC. The transistor are the three legs, the one that has three legs, while the ICs has more than three legs as well. So the question goes in this way: how does active component work? An active component work as an alternating current circuit in a device, which work to increase the active power, voltage, or current. What do you understand by this? In alternating current circuit, do you know that diode, it converts AC to DC? Now, what I'm trying to explain here is this: active component in each of the circuit, what they do is to increase the power. Let me use battery as an example. Do you know that after charging your battery, maybe a handset battery or a laptop battery, after charging it to 100%, you will unplug it and start using it. Now, the battery undergoes a lot of chemical reaction on the process of giving out its energy. That is why I said a battery is an active component. I will also discuss it much more about it. That is why I say a battery is part of an active component. I am using battery to explain what I mean by an active component work as an alternating current circuit in a device. A device which I have just said now is, I use a handset battery or a laptop battery just to explain it for you to understand. You will charge it, it will get to 100% full. Then you will unplug it. You started using your handset and doing whatever thing that pleases you. Do you know that it is that battery that will last even if it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes, all depending. The battery is the one that is powering your device. It gives out its energy. That is why I say which work to increase the active power, current, or voltage. That is why from the definition of active component, I say it produces. Now, the battery is producing energy in form of current or voltage to the entire circuit of the system. That system is a device. The battery is now producing current to the entire circuit of the device that you are using. That is a simple explanation of what I have just said here. So in that case, an active component is able to do this because it is powered by a source of electricity that is separated from electrical signal. I have already explained it. I use a battery to explain because it is separated from electrical signal. After charging it, definitely it will give out its energy in form of current or voltage. You can also use an inverter battery. That is a simple truth. You can also use an inverter battery because inverter battery is also a part of an active component. In that case, thank you once again for watching my video. Please, if you like my video, subscribe to my channel, like and comment. In the next video tutorial, we will discuss much more about active component, and I will give you much explanation of other ones. Thank you once again for watching my video. See you in the next video.